Carrie Fisher became known to millions as a fearless princess who never seemed to bend under pressure. On screen, she was witty, direct, and full of confidence, delivering lines with intelligence far beyond her years. Audiences saw strength, humor, and independence. Many yashusi duri dar amashi duri radai aris. Behind the character must live with the same certainty, yet real life was far more complicated. Fame arrived when she was still discovering who she was, and the attention did not pause to let her grow at her own pace. Public admiration often hides private struggles, and for Carrie, the spotlight sometimes felt less like celebration and more like a spotlight she could not step away from. Her story is not about royalty or fantasy worlds. It is about a creative, honest woman learning how to exist when the world expects perfection, while she is still learning how to accept herself. Growing up in a house of fame, Carrie Fisher was born into a family where fame was already part of daily life. Her mother, Debbie Reynolds, was a beloved movie star, and her father, Eddie Fisher, was a popular singer. From early childhood, cameras and headlines surrounded her, even before she understood why strangers knew her name. When her parents separated, the event unfolded publicly, making private family change feel like public entertainment. This early exposure shaped her sense of identity as she grew up balancing love for her parents with the awareness that much of their lives belonged to the audience. Schooling and friendships were often interrupted by travel and performances, leaving her searching for stability. Books became a quiet refuge, a space where she could think freely without judgment. Reading gave her a voice long before she found the confidence to use it in public, planting the seeds for the writer she would later become. First steps onto the stage. Before she ever held a lightsaber or wore a space costume, Carrie stepped onto real stages beside her mother. Performing live required discipline, timing, and emotional control that most teenagers never need to learn so early. While the experience strengthened her professionalism, it also blurred the line between childhood and career. School routines were difficult to maintain, and creative work often took priority. Her early film appearance in the mid-1970s showed that she could act independently rather than simply being known as someone's daughter. Directors and critics noticed her natural delivery and intelligence. Still, she often questioned whether opportunities came from the talent or family name. Those doubts followed her quietly, even as doors began to open. The entertainment world welcomed her, but it also tested her resilience, teaching her quickly that recognition and confidence do not always arrive together. Becoming Princess Leia. Everything changed when Carrie was cast as Princess Leia in Star Wars. The role introduced a new kind of female hero to science fiction, someone decisive, outspoken, and brave rather than passive. The film's global success transformed her overnight into a cultural icon. At only 19, she faced enormous expectations and constant attention. Alongside praise came criticism about appearance and image, pressures that many young performers encounter but rarely discuss openly. Carrie responded with humor, often turning uncomfortable moments into witty remarks that revealed her sharp mind. The hairstyle, costumes, and character became instantly recognizable symbols, but they also created a challenge, separating the actress from the role. While audiences celebrated the princess, Carrie quietly worked to preserve her own identity, understanding that fame can be both a gift and a heavy responsibility. Life beyond the character. After the original trilogy, Carrie discovered that immense popularity does not always guarantee steady acting roles. She was widely recognized, yet frequently typecast, with producers unsure how to place her beyond the famous character. Instead of waiting passively, she redirected her creativity toward writing. Her novel, Postcards from the Edge, revealed a bold, humorous voice that mixed honesty with storytelling skill. The book's success, followed by its film adaptation, showed that she was not limited to acting. Writing allowed her to shape narratives instead of being shaped by them. Through essays, scripts, and public performances, she used language as both art and self-expression. This shift did not erase earlier challenges, but it offered her agency. She was no longer just appearing in stories. She was crafting them, proving that creativity can evolve when circumstances change. Humor as strength and shield. One of Carrie Fisher's most distinctive qualities was her humor. She used wit not only to entertain, but also to cope with pressure and uncertainty. On talk shows, in interviews, and on stage, she spoke openly about personal experiences with a candid style that blended comedy and honesty. Audiences appreciated this openness because it felt genuine rather than polished. Her one-woman shows and memoirs demonstrated that laughter can coexist with vulnerability. By sharing imperfections instead of hiding them, she created a sense of connection with people who saw parts of their own struggles reflect on her shows. Your Huaychra was her words. Humor became both a shield and a bridge, a way to protect herself while inviting others closer. In an industry that often values flawless images, her willingness to be real stood out as refreshing and courageous. Facing inner challenges, Carrie Fisher also lived with significant emotional and psychological challenges, which she eventually spoke about publicly. Rather than allowing silence to define her experience, Koi alwer ans kincho e ir awam. This openness helped reduce stigma for many who felt alone with similar difficulties. She emphasized that seeking help and understanding one's mind are signs of strength, not weakness. Her journey was not a straight line, but it demonstrated persistence and self-awareness. By acknowledging complexity instead of denying it, she offered a more realistic picture of personal growth. Her honesty encouraged discussions that were often avoided at the time, turning private concerns into shared understanding. In doing so, she contributed to a broader cultural shift where conversations about well-being became more visible and accepted. Relationships and personal growth. Carrie's personal relationships were varied and sometimes complicated, shaped by the same intensity that marked her career. She formed deep friendships within the entertainment world, including bonds that lasted decades and provided emotional grounding. Romantic relationships brought both joy and learning experiences, teaching her about boundaries, independence, and self-respect. Over time, she focused more on creating stability in her personal life, especially after becoming a mother. Parenthood introduced a new perspective, encouraging balance and responsibility alongside creative work. Even when circumstances changed, she remained committed to maintaining meaningful connections and protecting her family's privacy. These experiences did not define her entirely, but they added layers to her understanding of love, loyalty, and personal identity. Return to a galaxy far away. Chakju Obarks. When Carrie returned to the Star Wars universe years later, audiences saw a different version of the character and of the actress herself. Leia was no longer a young rebel, but a seasoned leader carrying wisdom and responsibility. Carrie embraced the role with maturity and confidence, addressing public expectations with the same humor that had long defined her. She openly challenged unrealistic standards placed on performers, reminding people that time moves forward and authenticity matters more than appearance. The film's success introduced her to a new generation while reconnecting her with longtime fans. This return was not merely nostalgic, it symbolized endurance. She stood on screen as someone who had grown through experience rather than being frozen in memory, proving that legacy can evolve rather than remain fixed. A legacy of honesty and courage. Carrie Fisher's legacy extends far beyond a single character or franchise. She left behind a model of authenticity, someone who combined intelligence, humor, creativity, and vulnerability without apology. Her influence can be seen in stronger female characters, in open conversations about mental well-being, and in the acceptance that public figures can be complex human beings. She did not aim to be flawless or distant, she aimed to be truthful. That honesty resonated with audiences who recognized their own imperfections in her stories. Today, she is remembered not only as Princess Leia, but as a writer, performer, and advocate for openness. Her life reminds us that courage is not the absence of struggle, but the willingness to speak, create, and connect despite it. Through words and performances, her voice continues to inspire long after the spotlight has dimmed.